Hey BookTube, it's time once again for a wrap-up. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and I thought I would just wrap up some of the stuff I've been reading lately. I got a couple of YA fantasies and an adult post-apocalyptic story. So let me just start off with The Daughter of Dragons. This is by Jack Campbell and it is narrated on audio by MacLeod. This is the first book in a series that follows up a previous series that Jack Campbell wrote that I talk about all the time, and that is the Pillars of Reality series. This new one is set in the same world, and it follows the daughter of the two main characters in the previous series. She's 16, kind of dealing with living in her mother's shadow. On this world was originally colonized by people from Earth, but the society changed and grew. A lot of the history was lost, and so although they know they originally came from Earth, the society on this planet is very, very different. So in this new series, people from Earth come, and they are not what you expect. And I loved that about this particular story. I loved the two main characters. One is the son of one of the people who has come from Earth, and then, of course, the daughter of the two other characters from the first series. It could not be more different. They don't even speak the same slang language. I mean, they both speak English, but, you know, they use terms that the other one doesn't know about. They're from very different cultures. And seeing them come together was just wonderful. And I have to say, I love the idea that this whole series is going to happen and I get to be in that world again. I love that world. MacLeod is an amazing narrator. I go on and on and on about him all the time, so I won't tell you more about that. But there was a little bit too much of "Am I good enough?" from the main character. And I don't know, you know, I know she's 16 and she's dealing with this, and 16-year-olds ask themselves this kind of thing all the time. But I just thought Campbell hammered that home. You know, this was like, okay, I get it already. I get that she's insecure. I get that she feels like she's living in her mother's shadow. I don't know. I think he could have probably done a little more with the overall plot and the action than, you know, really focusing in so much on her insecurity. But having said that, I don't care. I loved it. I'm so over the moon about being back in this world again, and I can't wait for the next book. And he writes these pretty quickly because they don't have to come out on Kindle, although I'm not sure that makes any difference. They're written specifically for audible.com. So anyway, I gave that one 5 stars. The last one is an adult post-apocalyptic novel that is by Alexandra, Oliva, and it is narrated by Nicole Zanzarella and Mike Chamberlain. This is the most interesting premise. It's about a reality show, kind of like Survivor, and so all of the contestants are kind of thrown into the wilderness, and they have to accomplish tasks that are kind of left out in front of them. It's different from Survivor in that they're not all together. They have to go off in different places, and they're very alone. And so the main character is narrating the story, and then it is interspersed with Mike Chamberlain as kind of the narrator of the show. So an apocalypse happens, and the book is all about this woman trying to cope with the challenges that she thinks are part of the game, and in reality they are part of the fact that the world has, you know, disappeared. So it's really interesting. I have to say, really an interesting premise. The whole thing is very stark, very I wouldn't say dark, but it is kind of, it isn't happy. Let's put it that way. The main character is someone that you don't necessarily like. She's dealing with a lot of problems in her own mind, and, you know, a lot of the issues in her own life that prompted her to be a part of this show, and, you know, kind of the things that she wanted to accomplish by participating on the show and get out of the way in her life so she could move on with some other things with her husband. It was the best mind game. It really was. You just did not know what was going to happen next. It was a fabulous study in seeing how the changes in the environment change a person because of the setting. And, you know, a lot of books will do that, but this particular book was, God, I don't know, it was just really, it's just really interesting to see how the main character, her view of herself and her surroundings really, really just drastically changed. So Nicole Zanzarella was amazing. She embodied this character so perfectly. And Mike Chamberlain was perfect as the voice of the announcer for the game. And it just all came together beautifully. I really liked it. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. And finally, I read Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. This is narrated from 2 points of view by Emily Rankin and Austin Butler. I loved the narration. I thought it was spectacular. Emily Rankin is always good, no matter what I hear her narrate. And I hear her a lot, book to book. She does a lot of the books that I read. And so she's always good. And I thought she did a great job with, you know, the scenes, the character that she narrated. I, you know, can't say anything bad about it. I really liked it. Now, Austin Butler, I thought was also spectacular. And he has a different style of narration in that he doesn't differentiate greatly between the characters, but you are always aware of who is speaking, and he is always able to pull you into the story and you get the emotion of the scene. He was just great at that. I like the pitch range of his voice too. He was pleasant to listen to. So I would venture a guess to say that I like this book more than I would have if I had read it in print. So here's what you need to know about Carve the Mark. It is mainly sci-fi with some fantasy elements in it. The sci-fi part is basically the way that the worlds are set up. There is interplanetary travel. There is an alliance of planets and nations. There are many nations on one planet where the story is set. And then you have the fantasy element, kind of, where in this world there is something called the current, and the current is like a life force, and it manifests itself in different ways, but you can feel it going through you, and sometimes it will bring out gifts in people, like supernatural gifts. And it also looks like the Northern Lights in the sky. I thought that was kind of cool. Now, on this world, there are many nations, and there is one nation that is not recognized by the others because of the way that they pulled out of the alliance and wanted to do their own thing. So our main character, Akos, is from one nation, and he is a boy in school, and he is kind of timid and does not draw attention to himself. And you kind of see the world through his eyes at the very beginning. Well, he gets kidnapped by this nation that isn't recognized. They're the Shotet. Akos is from the Thuva nation. And the Shotet nation is, you know what, the best way I can describe these people is to compare them to Klingons. You know, that's the association I made in my brain. And if you watch Star Trek, you know what I'm talking about. Klingons, and the Shotet, are a race of people that value honor and loyalty and strength, very much like Roman gladiators would have. Their mission is to conquer the world because they think that they can do a great job of ruling the world, you know. I think it's easy to see this nation in a negative light because of the leader of the nation, who is a tyrant and a very bad character. And he is the reason that Akos and his brother Ija are kidnapped. Well, they're kidnapped and brought to the Shotet nation. And we meet the other main character, who is Syra. Syra is the sister of the boy who has become the ruler. He was the prince, and now he's the king. And so she sees what's happening with him and doesn't agree with him all the time, but he has a lot of power. And so she's trying to maneuver her position so that, I don't know, she doesn't want to take over, but she doesn't want him to be such a bad guy. So the story is all about Akos and how Akos is trying to escape and get his brother out of this place where they are in Chotet. And it becomes a real character study of how Akos changes from being timid and kind of, doesn't, like I say, want to draw attention to himself, to someone who, because he is in Chotet and he is influenced by that nation and trained by that nation, he becomes not really a warrior, but definitely a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he changes in that way. And Carve the mark, the phrase that the title is borrowed from, refers to what a Chotet custom, where when they have a kill, like in battle, they mark something on their arm, and then they cut it, and then they fill it with ink, and it becomes like a tattoo, and it is their mark of a kill. And it is an honor thing. It is something that they are proud of. And, these are not people that go around randomly killing others. They don't. So this book has come under a lot of criticism because of the way that some people are unhappy with the characters and the way that they were portrayed. I did not find that at all. I did not find that at all. I thought, this is a fictional book about fictional characters, and I drew no parallels to real life because it's fiction and it's so different than real life. To be honest, I didn't expect to like this book at all because I was not a big fan of Divergent, but I really did like this book. I read it a couple of months ago and I thought I like it then. I gave it 4 stars, and looking back, I like it even more. I think I'm looking forward to the sequel. I think it's going to be good because of the combination of the fantasy elements and the sci-fi elements, and just the general way that the bad guy is going to get defeated. I like the way that plot works in that world because I love the world. I thought it was so cool. So, those are my feelings about the book and about the way it has been criticized. You either like the book or you don't. So if you didn't like the book for reasons, then I would love to talk to you. I invite comments where we can discuss it. I'm going to leave it at that because I gave it 4 stars, and like I say, I'm looking forward to the sequel. So those were the books I read recently. If you have any comments on any of them, I would love to hear them. I would love to talk to you, especially if you've read them, and if you liked them or if you didn't. So let's do that in comments, and that is it for now from me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.